Quote of the day: Wander and wonder, laugh like the sky's listening, and let your light trip over shadows without apology. You were made to glow even when it rains. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew chapter 5 verse 14. That is the quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. Now Smackdown this week, was it slightly entertaining? Yes. Was it pointless? Also yes. Smackdown, man, there was like two good matches, maybe one good promo, and that was that. Some parts were entertaining, but overall, the whole show was meaningless, pointless, and nothing got advanced. Nothing changed. If you skipped this episode, you wouldn't have missed anything, and that's been the theme of these past couple of Raw and SmackDown episodes, man. Like, they're completely skippable. Like, this show, I mean, it was entertaining at moments. It had its moments, you know. But then, besides that, though, the rest, the show overall, completely pointless. Nothing was advanced. No new stories. No new development. It didn't bring any more hype to SummerSlam. It didn't add any more hype to PLE. It was just, man, this was a sucky going away show, honestly. But anyhow, though, to keep this review short, let's just jump right into it and let's just talk about what happened on the show. So, at the tippy top of the show, the first segment we got, it was a John Cena and Cody Rhodes in-ring promo. We got the greatest of all time, the never seen 17. Do 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 do. John Cena. That was a Paul Heyman reference. I hope people understood that. Because if not, then that just sounded goofy, huh? But anyhow, though, we got a John Cena and Cody Rhodes in-ring promo. And this was a really good opening segment. I really enjoyed this promo. I really enjoyed this segment. And, you know, this kind of hyped me up for the show. But little did I know my spirits were going to get crushed right away. But like this, for the first part, this kind of really hyped me up. Like the whole essence of it, the meaning behind it, you know. In this promo, though, Cody didn't say jack diddly squat. He wasn't talking about anything. He didn't say anything. Cody, I think, said literally like 2 words, and that was it. So that was actually a positive. You know, Cody not talking, that's always good. But anyhow, let's get into the essence of this promo and what was said and what was, you know, hinted at. And before John Cena can even get a word out, Cody interrupts him. You know, Cody comes out, his music hits, and then anyhow, though, before Cody could even say anything, John Cena gets on the mic and he says, Cody, last week I told you I was exhausted. I told you I wouldn't be able to show up at SummerSlam. I told you I wasn't in any shape to wrestle. I told you I wasn't in any shape to fight at SummerSlam. I told you I wouldn't be able to be at the PLE. I had a Netflix movie to film. You know, I told you I was exhausted. I laid it down on the table. I told you what it was, you know. I told you everything. But you decided, you know what you did? You decided to assault me. You assaulted me. You forged my signature, and you put me into one of the most dangerous match types. And for that, Cody, I thank you. It was the boot I needed. And at this point of the promo, John Cena basically tries to turn face, you know? And I don't know if he actually turned face or not, or if this was, you know, to dupe the fans, if this was all a plot, you know, all a ploy, or this was like, you know, mind games. But anyhow, and then John Cena proceeds to cut like one of his like old-fashioned face promos, you know? John Cena gets on the mic again and he says, you know, people convinced me to turn into something that I'm not in the name of making shocking TV. So he's basically referencing, you know, the final boss and I guess TKO and WWE, you know. So he says, people convinced me to turn into something that I'm not in the name of making shocking TV, you know, in the name of shocking moments. And then my team left me. Everyone left me. The same people who made me turn, you know, the same people who turned me into something I'm not, they left me, you know, and now I'm here alone. So he says that, you know, he says, my team left me. Those same people left me. And I want to leave WWE as a champion. I want to retire as a champion, but not to ruin wrestling. Come on, guys. You all know me better than that. I want to leave with this title because I want to make sure that you all never forget about me, you know? I don't want you all to ever forget about me. That's the real reason why I want to leave with the championship. I don't want to ruin wrestling. You guys have known me for decades, you know? I would never do something like that. I just want to make sure that you guys, the fans, you never forget about me. And I was like, you know, I like that spin on it, you know? And after that, John Cena says, at SummerSlam, the real John Cena's back. Now, I don't know who's going to leave with the title, but I know who's going to win, you know? I know who wins, and it's the fans. It's all of you. You guys are the winners at SummerSlam. And he looks at Cody Rhodes and he says, Cody, if you want some, come get some. And he says, this time around, there's no platinum rapper that's going to show up to kick your butt. The only platinum rapper that's going to show up to kick your butt is me. And the champ is here. Cody Rhodes pulls a Stone Cold Steve Austin. He calls for 2 beer cans, you know, and then he grabs 2 beer cans. He gives John Cena one of them, and the 2 boys, the 2 men, you know, they crack open a cold one and they celebrate. And Cody Rhodes basically just looks at John Cena and he says, Cena, welcome back. So John Cena kind of turns face again. Maybe maybe not. We don't know yet. This might all be, part of a plot, part of a story. I really like how the crowd was behind him, whether he was a face or a heel. And that goes to show you the impact and the importance of John Cena, And I really like this promo. And I hope this was potentially the start of his face turn. I don't want this to be like what turned him face. I want it to be the start, like this kind of hinted at it. And then he works his way back to regain our trust, to regain the fans, approval and stuff like that. But anyhow, though, that was your opening segment. After this, we got a video package, a video replay, and it was where Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre, basically, they showed up to a Jelly Roll wrestling training session. They show up to the training session, and they basically start trash-talking Jelly Roll, and they end up jumping Jelly Roll and beating him down, because Jelly Roll was alone. He was Randy Ortonless. He didn't have any protection, so they showed up, and they basically just jumped Jelly Roll and beat him down, and that was that. After that, we got our first match of the night, and it was Zelina Vega versus Julia. And funny enough, I always call her Gulia because they spell Julia with a G. But yeah, if I mess up and call her Gulia, that's the inside joke between us, So anyhow, it was Zelina Vega versus Julia, and it was for the Women's United States Championship. Now, let me just say this first and foremost. This match right here, it was way better than their Evolution PLE match by far. And I'm like, dude, how's that even possible? Like, you have a match in a PLE and somehow a random episode of SmackDown, that match is better than it. I'm like, come on, make it make sense. But this match, though, it was definitely better than their Evolution PLE match. And this was actually really entertaining. There were some botches throughout this match, but besides all that, both of these women, they showed up and they did their thing. There was some pretty crazy spots as well. But in the end of it all, after a really entertaining match, a pretty good match, at the end of it all, Julia ended up hitting the Northern Lights power bomb for the win, her finisher. It's called the Northern Light Bomb. So she hits that on Zelina Vega for the win, and Julia retains her United States Women's Championship. After this, we got our second match of the night, and it was a Legado del Fantasma open challenge match for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. And this was the second match of the night, the second fun match of the night, at least. So the first one was the Julia versus Zelina Vega, and the second one was the Legado del Fantasma versus, the open challenge match. Those two matches, those were the two good matches we got on this show. And the one good promo was the John Cena promo. So let's just get that out of the way and clear it right away. After this match, though, everything from here was straight downhill, boring, pointless, and stupid. But anyhow, though, we got to Legado del Fantasma Open Challenge, and I thought it was going to be a SmackDown team or a Raw team that came out to challenge them, but no, to our surprise, it was Legado del Fantasma versus Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown. And let's not forget about Layeska, the stuffed iguana. And this was basically a 3-on-2 handicap match for Legado del Fantasma, It was Mr. Iguana, Layeska, and Psycho Clown versus 2 Legado del Fantasma members. It was a handicap match. This should be thrown out from the record books. This was unfair. This was one-sided. Okay, let's get into the match. But I've said this once and I'll say it again. I love Mr. Iguana, man. He is pure jokes and pure entertainment in the ring. I enjoyed the Worlds Collide match so much, and it was because of Mr. Iguana and Layeska. And this match, again, Mr. Iguana didn't show out too much, but it was still fun and entertaining, And this was honestly a pretty fun match. It didn't really mean much, but it was fun nonetheless. And they got to show the AAA Tag Team Championships on TV, more promotion for that company and brand, which is pretty cool. But overall, though, the crowd was really lively during this match, and they were really behind Layeska and Mr. Iguana, as well as Psycho Clown, which is pretty cool. I like how they welcomed these two competitors in, and they warmly welcomed them in warmly, and they accepted them, and they were cheering for them. And that was really cool. Anyhow, though, Legado del Fantasma were able to beat the odds, the 3-on-2 handicap match. They were able to beat the odds, and they beat both Psycho Clown and Mr. Iguana with their finisher, the MTY, for the win. And they retain the AAA Tag Team Championships. Like I said, though, this was a pretty fun match. It was pretty entertaining for what it was, even though it didn't mean much. After this, though, we got to our third match of the night, and it was Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. During this match, Aleister Black ended up hitting Damian Priest with a flying knee straight to his mouth, and this busted Damian Priest's lip pretty bad. He was bleeding. His lip was busted. And this match ended up ending in disqualification because Aleister Black viciously decided to attack Damian Priest with a steel chair. He viciously beats down Damian Priest with a with a steel chair. And after he beats Damian Priest with the steel chair, he decides to hit him with a black mask on top of that. And he leaves Damian Priest laid out, and that's how the match ends. And that's how that little, portion of the show ended. The match overall, though, however, was pretty mid, honestly. It wasn't anything special, anything memorable, anything too crazy. It was pretty mid. But during the beatdown, though, I was kind of hoping that R-Truth came out to the aid of Damian Priest. Like, the crowd would have popped for that. And I feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity. Because, like, R-Truth is still in this rivalry, believe it or not, remember it or not, Anyhow, though, after this match, we got a backstage segment between Tiffany Stratton, Tiffy time, and Jade Cargill. But however, we shall not be wasting our time on this segment, respectfully. We will not talk about it. We're going to move on because this was pointless. This was not needed, not necessary. It didn't add anything. They didn't say anything. I don't even know what they said. This was pointless. So we're just going to move on, skip past it. We shall not talk about this. This never happened. Moving on. After that, though, we got to our fourth match of the night, I believe. And it was Big Jim Uso versus Tala Tonga. And Tala Tonga was accompanied by Solo Sikoa ringside. And I had a lot of problems with this match. This match bothered my soul because like WWE want to portray Tala Tonga as a beast, a massive threat, like somebody who comes in and just destroys everyone, somebody who should be feared. But they're failing miserably at this. Like, why on earth was this match not a squash match? Why was it that Jim Uso was actually getting a lot of offense off? Not even like minimal offense. Let's say he got 2 punches, that's fine. No, he was literally bodying Tala Tonga for most of this match. Like he was fighting back. He was knocking him down. He was spearing him. He tried to Samoan drop the dude, for crying out loud. And you want us to believe Tala Tonga is this big 7 foot something, 265-pound guy that should be feared, but somehow he's still getting pushed around and bullied around in the ring by Jim Uso. Jim Uso, come on, dude. I'm watching this match. I'm like, is Tala Tonga a monster or not? Like, this match should have been over within the first 2 minutes, honestly. I'm like, you're not booking him like a monster. He looks so soft. He looks slow. He looks like he doesn't even look aggressive in the ring. I'm like, what are you trying to do with this character? How do you want us to believe that he's destructive? He's a monster, but he can't even beat Jim Uso easily. Like, he's struggling to beat Jim Uso. Like, make it make sense. And I'm over here, I'm like, what's this booking, dude? Like, he doesn't look believable. He doesn't look like a threat yet. He doesn't look serious. He doesn't look scary. He doesn't look unbeatable. I'm like, and dude, to make matters worse, he even needed interference from Solo Sikoa to win the match. Let that sink in. He needed interference from Solo Sikoa. Tala Tonga, 7 foot something, 265-pound monster, needed interference from Solo Sikoa to beat Jim Uso one-on-one. Like, come on, dude. I'm like, make it make sense. What is this nonsense? But anyhow, though, at the end of the match, Tala Tonga hit his finisher, and it was a choke slam. And let me just say, this is probably one of the worst choke slam finishers I've ever seen. There was no animosity behind it. There was no aggression. There was no intensity behind it at all, dude. It looked so unserious. Dude, this looked bad. And the match overall was pretty mid too. I'm like, let's keep it a buck. This match was kind of mid too. But at the end of the match, after all that is said and done, after Tala Tonga pins Jim Uso, the MFCs end up coming out and they try to jump Big Jimmy, Big Jim. And while they're trying to jump Big Jim, there's the steel cage, lowering down, to set up the whole scene, the whole vibe. While the steel cage is lowering down, they try to jump Big Jim. And out of nowhere, Fa, two. He ends up coming out to the aid of Big Jim, and for whatever reason, it's literally a 4-on-1 standoff. And for whatever reason, Solo Sikoa decides, we can't beat Fatu 4-on-1. We can't jump Fatu 4-on-1. Solo Sikoa and Tala Tonga both decide to run away from Jacob Fatu. Mind you, it's a 4-on-1. 4-on-1, Fatu. Jacob Fatu's the only one standing. It's a 4-on-1. You have Solo Sikoa, you have Tala Tonga, you have JC Mateo, you have Tama Tonga, you have Tangaloa, you have Chimichanga, Lakers and 5. You have 4 against 1. And for some reason, Solo Sikoa is still running. Tala Tonga is still running away from Jacob Fatu. And you want us to believe that this group is a threat, that Tala Tonga is a threat, Solo Sikoa is a threat. Come on, WWE. Like, what is this? Like, what is this booking, dude? Oh my god. But anyhow, though, the cage ends up lowering, and JC Mateo and Tangalo end up being trapped in the cage with Fatu, and Fatu just completely destroys them, leaves them laying out. And I remember they were trying to build JC Mateo up to be this threat as well. Now he just looks like a jobber. Like, come on, man. Like, man, whatever. But like, Fatu leave, Tangalo and JC Mateo just completely laid out, and he successfully saves Big Jim. And that's how that match ends. And after this, though, we got a pretty funny backstage segment, a backstage interview segment. It was Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, and they were basically just getting interviewed, and they were asking questions about the team, like, are they getting along now? And the funniest thing happened, Charlotte, for whatever reason, did not want Alexa Bliss to call her the F word. And like throughout this whole promo, the whole segment, Charlotte was like, nope, don't call us the F word. Don't call me the F word. We are not the F word. We're not friends. We're not friends. Don't use the F word. We're not friends yet, Let's win the title first. Then we could start using the F word. Then we could start calling each other friends. Until we win the tag team titles, though, we are not the F word. We are not friends. But yeah, so that was pretty funny. And I like the whole spin on words, the F word, friends. That was pretty funny to me. But anyhow, though, after that, though, we got to our main event, which was probably one of the worst main event segments I've seen in a while. I don't know whose bright idea it is to end a main event, a show. The main event is just a brawl segment, and not even a long one or a good one. Man. So the main event is basically RK Roll, Jelly Roll and Randy Orton. It was a Jelly Roll, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul segment. So Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre basically come out first and they cut a promo. And Logan Paul was really funny throughout this, Logan Paul gets on the mic and he says, me and Drew, we're trying to defend this place from outsiders. Me and Drew dedicated our life to this. Me and Drew, we dedicated our life to this company, to this business, And I hate seeing someone who made their name elsewhere try to come in and steal our spotlight and try to make a name for themselves at our expense. And then Logan Paul says that people like Jelly Roll, they think this place is some sort of stepping stone. It's not, And it was pretty funny, just him calling Jelly Roll an outsider again, saying Jelly's trying to steal the spotlight. He's trying to treat this place like a stepping stone, and him and Logan Paul and Drew dedicated their life to this, put their body on the line for this. And I was like, Logan, shut up. Even Drew McIntyre couldn't take him seriously. Drew McIntyre was like, really? He was snickering at some points and just giving Logan Paul, the side eye. Logan Paul's like, we dedicated our life and our body to this. And Drew McIntyre was just like... But anyhow, though, after Logan Paul gets his whole spiel out, Jelly Roll and Randy Orton end up coming out, and they're like fuming because Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre did attack Jelly Roll, so they come out fuming. They come out like irate. They come out to get their get back, And a big brawl breaks out between these four men, and they have to be separated by security. Jelly Roll and Randy Orton at the end of it end up, beating even the security guards. Jelly Roll and Randy Orton even attacked the security guards, which was pretty funny. But like the brawl happened, nothing too crazy happened during the brawl. Like there was a few punches thrown and stuff like that, and they were separated pretty quickly. There was no like over the top rope dive or anything, or somebody broke out of the security's hold and ran to the other side. None of that. It was a boring brawl, dude. Like imagine that. You can't even make the brawl interesting. But yeah, that was your whole show. It just ended with Jelly Roll and Randy Orton. Randy Orton RKO's a security guard. Jelly Roll hits his finisher on a security guard, and that was that. And that was your whole show. And let me tell you, to be honest with you, like I said, nothing of substance really happened on this show. There were no stories advanced. This episode didn't add anything. It didn't add any hype to SummerSlam. It didn't progress any stories, nothing. Like, it was fun at some parts, yes. It was entertaining at some parts, yes. But ultimately, it was pointless. It was goofy. And, like, it was completely skippable. But overall, though, if I'm being honest, I would rate this show probably a solid 5 out of 10, realistically. Because the matches really didn't mean anything. And only one promo, I guess, meant something. It was the John Cena one. Besides that, though, none of the matches really meant anything, So, like, realistically, I'm giving more props than I should. I am going to rate this show a 5 out of 10. A generous 5 out of 10. And yeah, that was your Smackdown this week. That was your going home show, before the big PLE. That's what we got, disappointingly enough. But yeah, that was my whole review and my breakdown. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hearing me out. Thank you for showing up. And once again, thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.